The Buffalo Bills currently have negative $56.6 million in dead cap space, and in this video, I want to cover all the ways to get under the salary cap for 2024. First, I want to start with the most obvious things with the restructures and understanding what NFL restructures do, and it's basically taking money of a contract that could be restructured multiple years through a player's career, and it's basically kicking it down the road because you're taking the money paid now and spreading it out throughout multiple years. Just for an example, we could use Minkah Fitzpatrick in 2023, where he was set to make $14.5 base salary. Instead, $13.42 million was converted into a signing bonus. Fitzpatrick's base salary left was only $1.8 million. The Steelers were able to save over $10 million in cap space. Now, the problems that arise with that is by kicking the can down the road is that you're increasing the dead cap space for that player in later years. So we always use the example that Stefon Diggs does not want to be here, supposedly. If we do happen to restructure Stefon Diggs, that is just going to increase the dead cap space in years to come, making it even harder to trade or move away from. Also, the trade value of that player goes way down because of his bloated contract. Now, looking at Josh Allen, our franchise quarterback, who we're not going to be moving away from at any time soon, we should definitely consider restructuring things right now with Josh Allen. And simply by doing that, the Buffalo Bills cap space drops from $56 million to negative $38.7 million. I mean, that is a huge, huge savings. Now, Von Miller literally said that he wants to spend the rest of his career here in Buffalo when we signed him to that 6-year deal. Von Miller, coming off an ACL, hardly playing and getting a sack in 2023, I think he is a perfect candidate to restructure things, but the problem is how well will he play? This would be a big gamble by Brandon Beane, making sure that Von Miller is going to come back to himself if we restructure things and push this contract down the line, kick the can down the line. You know, what happens if Von Miller does not ever come back to being himself? But I think it does make sense, and I trust that Von Miller will come back to himself. So we're going to restructure things here, and you could see that now the salary cap goes from negative 56 to negative 38 to now negative 26. We're literally already saving net $30 million off the cap. Now, the other players to consider here is Trey White. Trey White coming off an ACL, coming off an Achilles injury. Buffalo Bills know that Trey White is a great player, and we see his work ethic. I think Trey White is still young. He's still going to come back to being the player that he once was, and I just think he's a perfect candidate to kick the can down the road for the Buffalo Bills, and I think Trey White likes being here. I don't see any problems with Trey White or him not wanting to be in Buffalo, so if we happen to restructure him, we're saving even more, about $4 million. The cap goes all the way down to negative 2022. Now, Matt Milano's another player coming off an injury, and he has had some injuries throughout his stay here in Buffalo. I think Matt Milano's young. He's going to come back from this injury. He's going to be a much better player than probably what he was, always developing year in, year out. So let's restructure Matt Milano, and we could see here that we saved about $2 million. Bills are down to negative $20.7 million off the cap. Now, this is really where things get interesting. With Stefon Diggs, Diggs would present some huge, big-time savings. Now, I don't know what the deal is with Stefon Diggs. If he wants to be here long-term, I think he does. I think he's comfortable having Josh Allen as his quarterback, but I think there are some concerns about him not being able to play his own game and get one-on-ones because we haven't had an opposite wide receiver to Stefon Diggs. So in my mind, if we bring in a player such as even Odell Beckham, if we can get Odell Beckham for a reasonable rate in free agency and fill that hole before the NFL draft, I think it may even entice Stefon Diggs to restructure his contract with the Bills, knowing that he's going to get a lot more one-on-one situations. He's not going to get double covered. His stats are going to be a lot better. You know, Stefon Diggs wants production. He wants touchdowns. He wants yards. He wants to be known as one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and that's hard to do when you don't have an opposite opposite perimeter wide receiver. And yes, I know we have Khalil Shakir, we have Dalton Kincaid, but to stretch that field and get another threat on the perimeter on the far outside would help Stefon Diggs restructure. And you can clearly see if the Bills do that, we're already down to negative $7.5 million, huge cap savings, almost $50 million in cap savings so far by the Buffalo Bills with simply restructuring the foundation of players on this team. Now, another one, too, is really Dawson Knox. I mean, Dawson Knox was really tight end one here in Buffalo. We didn't have Dalton Kincaid. You know, Dawson Knox isn't necessarily having the same workload as he has had in the past because we are utilizing Dalton Kincaid as more of a receiving tight end. Now, the Buffalo Bills could very well restructure Dawson Knox, and you could see here that the Buffalo Bills would save roughly $3 million. So now that cap space goes down all the way to negative $4.8 million. We are getting close to being under the cap, but we have to keep in mind the NFL draft and signing roughly 10 draft picks is going to be about $8 to $10 million to bring those guys in. So we need to exceed that and get under the cap. And the next player the Bills should consider restructuring is Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver has gotten paid, and we've seen that Ed Oliver thrives once he gets paid. So restructuring his contract, giving him even more money, guaranteed money, I think Ed Oliver would absolutely love that. Now, the savings with Ed Oliver is minimal. You could see now the Bills cap is only negative $3.5 million. And the next player here, I think, would be Tyler Bass. You know, Tyler Bass, obviously missing that final kick, everyone giving him so much flack, but us still believing in Tyler Bass, us knowing that Tyler Bass is going to continue to get better and better and better throughout these years. So if the Bills happen to restructure Tyler Bass, that is another $1 million off the cap. We are at negative $2.2 million in cap space. A player I believe the Buffalo Bills should consider moving on from, which would be a tough decision, is actually Deonte Harty. And we did structure his contract to be favorable to move away from. Deonte Harty was going to be primarily a punt, kick, and also an offensive weapon for the Bills, but he kind of just turned into being a special team kick returner. And yes, I get it. He had that great kick return for the Buffalo Bills, but we have Andy Isabella, who played running back before in his career, played wide receiver, can kick return, can punt return. I think Andy Isabella could definitely supplement the loss of Deonte Harty. So getting rid of Deonte Harty would definitely save us some money. You could see the cap space. We are now officially positive for the Buffalo Bills at $1.944 million, and we are under the salary cap. Now, Brandon Beane always works his magic. I know Brandon Beane is definitely going to find some additional ways to save money and kind of consolidate things with certain players on this team. I know a lot of people are like, well, we have to re-sign Micah Hyde if he comes back, but there is speculation that we could bump Christian Benford to safety, maybe Trey White to safety, Kyer Elam to safety. Maybe we re-sign Cam Lewis for a reasonable rate and he plays safety to compete with Damar Hamlin in that spot. But I want to hear from you. Drop your comments down below. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. 80% of you are not subscribed. Also, check the link in the description for Course Careers. Start any of their free introduction courses. They have awesome courses for you guys to land a high-paying career. They're directly tied to employers. That's how I found my full-time employment. I had literally 4 or 5 employers reach out to me after graduating because they know their students are going to be ready to go, and they get access to the final exam. The final exam is extremely strict. But I appreciate you guys. If you're looking for a new job, I would definitely suggest it. But you guys are all absolutely awesome. Hit like and subscribe, and go Bills.